In today's video, I'm going to continue with a few more examples of broad activation of transits using Gemini's second source of strength, which again is the Lord, Jupiter, or Mercury aspecting or joining something, and that's Rashi aspecting or joining. Okay, for the first example, we have a chart here of someone who obtained a very important promotion for them, a promotion that they literally worked towards getting for years and years. And this is the transit position of when they first, received notification that they were going to get that promotion. So again, I'm going to pull the transits up into the middle of the chart so it's a little easier to see. So, for promotion, we have to look at 10th house things for any really huge career things that make you an important person. We have to look towards the 10th house and the sun. Those are the two critical factors, okay? With the Gemini Karakas, an important factor can be the Atma Karaka. The Atma Karaka, which is the planet with the highest degrees in a sign, in this case Mars being at 25 degrees of Pisces, is higher than any other sign, any other planet in its sign, is the Atma Karaka. And the Atma Karaka is considered to be the king, okay, in the chart. And so just like the sun, it kind of has a similar role to fill in that it's the ruling planet in your chart and your life. And with that planet, it gets boosted. That can be a period of becoming a bigger person in the world, just like when the sun is being triggered. So starting with the 10th cusp, we see in transit-wise, Saturn and the Moon are crossing the 10th house, the 10th cusp Bhava. And then Jupiter over here in Aries is Rashi aspecting Leo. So we do have one of the favorable, planets to create a window of opportunity, Jupiter influencing the 10th Bhava. Now let's take the 10th cusp in the Navamsha. In the Navamsha, the 10th cusp falls in Aries, yet the 10th over here is not Rashi aspected by Mars, unfortunately. Okay, so we don't get any Shashtyamsha confluence. In the Dasamsha chart, the success big things chart, the 10th cusp falls in Taurus. Venus is not Rashi aspecting Leo in transit. Venus in Sagittarius cannot aspect Leo in with the Gemini aspect. So it doesn't look like the 10th house is really creating much of a window of opportunity. So let's go to the 10th Lord, who also happens to be the Sun. So, the 10th Lord is a Karaka for success, and so is the Sun. Transit-wise, Scorpio over here is joined by Mercury in transit. So Mercury's conjuncting the Sun. Then Jupiter in Aries is Rashi aspecting the Sun. So now we have a nice window of opportunity upon the Sun, who's also the 10th Lord. In the Shashtyamsha, the Sun falls in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, who's Rashi aspecting the Sun. And in the Dasamsha, the Sun falls in Virgo, over here, which happens to be ruled by Mercury, who's conjunct the Sun in transit. So we have Jupiter, Mercury, the Shashtyamsha Lord of the Sun, and the Dasamsha Lord of the Sun, all influencing. So we have all four planets making for a really nice window of opportunity for this person's Sun. So it's during this window of opportunity that they receive notification of their promotion. Okay, so it was a huge day or window of success for the person, period of success for the person. Okay. I didn't even look at it, but just for fun, let's see what Mars is doing as a little bit of extra practice. Mars is the Atma Karaka. In transit, Mars is being Rashi aspected by the Sun, Venus, and Mars. Okay? The Shashtyamsha Lord of Mars is Mercury, so it's not influencing. The Dasamsha Lord of Mars is the Moon, and it's not influencing in transit either. So obviously the window of opportunity was created by the Sun, who's also the 10th Lord, being influenced by Jupiter, Mercury, his Lord from the Shashtyamsha, and his Lord in the Dasamsha. And that's a great window of opportunity when we can get the Varga Lord, the Shashtyamsha Lord, and Jupiter and Mercury involved. And obviously that will most likely happen when a planet's in the sign of Jupiter or Mercury. Okay? And it's really kind of interesting how, Jupiter and Mercury, by their very nature, when things fall in their sign, they're more readily and more easily manifested, just as they themselves are the planets that more readily and easily manifest things. Okay. Next chart is a chart of somebody who got married. And these are the transit positions for the day they became married. So for marriage, it's always good to look at 7th and 9th house cusp. We're going to start by looking at the 9th. The 9th cusp in this person's chart falls in Aries. I'm sorry, does it? Yeah, it falls in Aries over here. In transit, Aries happens to be influenced by Mercury and the Sun, but not by Jupiter. But at least Mercury's there, so that's one good factor. In the Navamsha chart, the critical Varga, the 9th cusp is falling in the sign of Mercury. Good. So Mercury, the lord of the 9th cusp in the Navamsha, is Rashi aspecting the 9th cusp. Mercury is in Aquarius, aspecting Aries, the 9th cusp. So we have the Navamsha confirmation. In the Shashtiyamsha, the 9th cusp happens to fall in Gemini as well. See the 9 over here. So Mercury ruling that 9th is in Aquarius in transit from where Rashi aspects the Navamsha, Rashi aspects Aries where the 9th cusp is. All right, so we have full confluence due to Mercury there. We don't have Jupiter though, so it could be a better window, but we do have Mercury. Now, Mercury at the same time is Rashi aspecting Venus, the Karaka of marriage. So let's see if Venus gets any help here. In the Navamsha, Venus is in Libra, ruled by Venus. In transit, Venus is in Capricorn, where it's not influencing Venus. Okay? In the Shashtiyamsha, Venus is also in Venus, it's a sign, and Venus in transit is not influencing Venus in the chart. So we're not getting really much of a window created by Venus. The window in this case seems to be influenced by the 9th cusp. But let's also keep looking for other windows. The other window that can possibly do something is the Darakaraka, the planet with least degrees in the chart, which is Mars in this case. Okay, Mars, see DK, Mars. Mars is at just 9 minutes of Taurus, so it's the lowest planet in any sign. So that becomes the Karaka of their spouse. And that planet can also give marriage when it's triggered. In transit, Jupiter in Cancer is Rashi aspecting Mars and Taurus. Okay, so we do have a window placed on Mars. Then Venus in transit and the Moon in transit are also Rashi aspecting Taurus where Mars is. Venus is the lord of Mars in the Rashi chart. Venus is the lord of Mars in the Shashtiyamsha chart. And Venus is not the lord of Mars in the Navamsha. And then Mars is the lord of Mars in the Shashtiyamsha. Well, Mars is not influencing Taurus, but Venus is. So we get the Rashi lord, the Shashtiyamsha lord, and Jupiter influencing Mars, the Darakaraka. So we get some window of opportunity on there. But still, the best window is falling on this 9th lord, or this 9th cusp falling in Aries. 7th cusp is Aquarius, where Mercury is currently transiting, where Jupiter is currently Rashi aspecting. So we have Jupiter and Mercury both influencing the 7th cusp. Okay? The 7th cusp in the Shashtiyamsha falls in Leo, and the Sun, the lord of the 7th cusp in the Shashtiyamsha, happens to be transiting the 7th cusp in the Rashi chart. So we're getting the Shashtiyamsha lord of the 7th. In the Saptamsha, Venus is the lord of the 7th. Venus in transit's in Capricorn, so it's not influencing the 1st. But we still have 3 factors. We have Jupiter, Mercury, and the lord of the 7th lord's, the 7th cusp from the Shashtiyamsha, his lord, Sun, in there. So we have 3 of 4 possible factors on to the 7th. And on to the 9th cusp, we had 3 of 4 factors. We had Mercury, the Navamsha Lord of the ninth, and the Shashtyamsha Lord of the ninth. So there's a lot of factors. And then we even had a little bit of, window on Mars. Just that single window of Mars caused by Jupiter wouldn't have been enough to do it. But considering that we've got 3 out of 4 factors on the ninth cusp, 3 out of 4 factors on the 7th cusp, it's looking pretty good. Okay? Let's take the 7th Lord, which is the final factor. 7th Lord Saturn is in Scorpio. Rashi aspected by Jupiter, who's in Cancer. The only other planet that Rashi aspects Saturn is Venus. But we have one window of opportunity created by Jupiter. In the Shashtyamsha, Saturn's falling in Capricorn, so it's not being influenced. In the Saptamsha, the 7th Varga, Saturn's fallen in Gemini, so it's not being supported by Mercury in transit. So obviously the factors that gave the marriage were the 3 of 4 factors on the 7th cusp, the 3 of 4 factors on the 9th cusp. And so they had marriage. And they also consummated their marriage at that point too, which before they hadn't done. And that's why we see both the 7th house being a strong window of opportunity and the 9th house being a strong window of opportunity. Okay? So it's always fun, and a good way to really test any technique really is to do 2 charts. Meaning in a marriage case, do the husband and wife. This was the husband, now we're going to go to the wife. And if you can find mutual destinies with the technique, and if it clarifies those, you always know it's a better technique. Because then it's showing both the same event in 2 different charts. So here we have the spouse's chart. Same transit positions because it's the same day. The 7th house, or start with the 9th house, I'm sorry. The 9th house in the spouse's chart falls in Gemini. Gemini is Rashi aspected only by Saturn and Mars. So no Mercury, no Jupiter. In the Shashtyamsha, the 9th cusp falls in the sign of Mars. So Mars is actually a helpful, supportive influence to the 9th house in transit right now, because it rules the 9th in the Shashtyamsha, and from Pisces, Mars is Rashi aspecting Gemini in the birth chart, where the 9th cusp is falling. Okay? In the Navamsha, the 9th cusp is falling in Aries, which is Rashi aspected by Mars. So we've got 2 factors, the Shashtyamsha Lord and the Navamsha Lord, influencing the 9th house. But really, like I said, I always like to see one of Jupiter or Mercury and one of the lords from the Varga or the Shashtyamsha. Okay, and ideally both of those. Okay, but at least one of them. And then one of Jupiter or Mercury. I'm not inclined to try to predict something unless I see at least Jupiter or Mercury influencing the thing. So this doesn't look great so far. Let's take the 9th Lord. The 9th Lord is Mercury, placed in Taurus. Jupiter in Cancer, from Cancer, Jupiter Rashi aspect Taurus where Mercury sits. So that's great. Mercury's in the sign of Taurus. Venus in Capricorn is going to Rashi aspect Taurus. Mercury in the birth chart, or in transit in Aquarius, is not going to Rashi aspect Taurus. However, a day before the wedding, during which they had engagement ceremonies, because it was like a 3-day event. The engagement ceremony happened the day before the wedding, which is common in Indian weddings. Mercury was actually in Capricorn, from where it did Rashi aspect the 9th Lord. Okay? In the Shashtyamsha, Mercury's in the sign of Saturn. But we don't get Saturn in transit. Saturn Sagittarius is not Rashi aspecting Mercury in transit. In the Navamsha, Mercury is in the sign of Saturn too. And from Saturn, and then Saturn, of course, not Rashi aspecting that. So we don't get the Navamsha Lord or the Shashtyamsha Lord onto Mercury. We only get Jupiter and Mercury's Rashi Lord, Rashi aspecting him. And the day before, we had Mercury Rashi aspecting as well. But we don't get the Navamsha or the Shashtyamsha, so we wouldn't want to base our prediction on that Mercury, solely on that Mercury. Let's look at the Karka of marriage, Venus. Venus is Rashi aspected by Jupiter. 2 days before, and the day before, when this other ceremonies were going on, Venus, or Mercury, was Rashi aspecting Venus. Venus, the Lord of Venus, is Rashi aspecting Venus. In the Shashtiamsha, Venus is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter in transit is in Cancer, from where Rashi aspects Venus. So we have the Shashtiamsha Lord of Venus, Rashi aspecting Venus. Perfect. In the Navamsha, Venus is in the Cancer, the house of the moon. The moon is Rashi aspecting Venus from Libra. It's not a super strong moon. Okay, it's not a great moon because it's not totally bright. This moon would have been really strong if it had been in Leo, maybe at the beginning of Virgo, beginning of Cancer. But where it's at, it's a little on the weak side to really count on it. Okay, but there's still, we got the Shashtiamsha Lord, the Rashi Lord, and like I said, I like to get at least Jupiter or Mercury and the Shashtiamsha Lord or the Varga Lord. Here we have the Shashtiamsha Lord, a weak Varga Lord moon, Jupiter, and the day before when the ceremony actually started, we had Mercury as well. So there's plenty of window of opportunity. Now the Darakark in this person's chart is Mercury. Okay, now Mercury we've seen is Rashi aspected by Jupiter, Rashi aspected by its Lord Venus down from Capricorn to there. Mercury in the Saptamsha, which is the key Varga for the Darakarka, is in Sagittarius. And Jupiter, who rules that, is in Cancer, from where it Rashi aspects Mercury. So we get the Saptamsha Lord of the Darakarka involved. Then the Shashtiamsha Lord of the Darakarka, Mercury, is in Capricorn, but it's not getting help. But we do have the Saptamsha Lord at least. So there's a little bit of a window of opportunity created there. Let's see what 7th house factors we're getting aspected in transit, okay? Well, the 7th Lord Mars was Rashi aspected by Jupiter, by its Lord Venus, and the day before by Mercury as well. The Shashtiamsha Lord of the 7th Lord is the Sun, because in the Shashtiamsha Mars, the 7th Lord goes into Leo. And was not aspected by the Sun, however, because the Sun over in Aquarius cannot aspect Taurus. The Saptamsha Lord of Mars is Venus. Perfect. And Venus in Capricorn in transit over here is Rashi aspecting Mars. So we get Jupiter and the Saptamsha Lord onto Mars, the 7th Lord. So we got a really good 7th house influence. And again, this is a marriage that hadn't been consummated yet. It was going to be consummated within 24 hours of their wedding. So we see both 9th house and 7th house window for opportunity. Mind you, another Indian couple I did that had a 9th house confirmation on their marriage, but didn't have a 7th house window of opportunity for until after 2 weeks of being married. And due to what was going on in their lives, they weren't able to actually come together and consummate the relationship for like 2 weeks until that window of opportunity arose. In fact, I think I talked about that person's marriage chart in the previous video. So anyway, in both these people's chart, we both see a strong window of opportunity, 3 points or so out of 4 onto the 7th house and the 9th house at the same time. Okay, and that always helps to affirm it actually being a marriage event. Okay, when both houses are getting triggered, it's always an easier prediction to make that way. So the only thing we haven't looked at in this person's chart, I don't think it's going to be that important, but we'll look at it, is the 7th house, which is Aries. 7th house was Rashi aspected by Mercury over here from Aquarius. It was Rashi aspected by the Sun, and that's it. In the Saptamsha, the 7th house cusp happened to fall in Leo. So we also have Mercury and the Lord of the 7th cusp from the Saptamsha, Rashi aspecting the 7th. So that's 2 good factors. In the Shashtiamsha, the 7th cusp happened to fall in Virgo, and we had Mercury, the Lord of the Shashtiamsha 7th, Rashi aspect in the 7th cusp. So we had 3 out of 4. The only thing we didn't have was Jupiter. We had Mercury, the 7th lord from the Saptamsha, and the 7th lord from the Shashtyamsha, Rashi aspecting the 7th cusp. So we had a really awesome 7th house window of opportunity as well in this chart. So the technique works well. We saw 3 or 4 points to the 9th and 7th houses in both charts of 2 people who got married on the same day, who got married to each other. So again, it's always good to test techniques that reveal mutual destiny, meaning 2 people have the same destiny at the same day. The obviously important ones for those are things like marriage, children, if people are in an event that requires team events like, team volleyball or something where you've got 2 people on each team, beach volleyball, any type of team tennis, any type of things where 2 people are going to benefit at the same time, 2 business partners, those are always really good charts to practice your techniques on because you have to get it to work on both charts. And then you're doing it right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to learn in this course is the trigger transits, which are the things that once there's a window of opportunity, transit triggers the event to happen on the exact day within that window of opportunity. It'll take us a couple days, a couple videos to learn all those trigger transits probably because there's a lot of them. And after we learn those, we'll be able to look at some of these examples and other examples as well to, predict the exact day that an event happens. Okay, thank you.